Raptors now sit at 6-4, right in the thick of it in the East. They're the Celtics leading the way. The Cavs, for now, on the outside looking in. And the Bucks, you don't see them. They're 4-6 at 12th in the Eastern Conference, but they did make that trade. Bledsoe is coming to Milwaukee. How do you see this? Are they now a top 4 team in the East? I'll go with Jonesy.
All right. You know what, Randy, they could be. And I look at them sitting in 12th right now. It's early, but this is classic. You come off a good playoff run where you maybe push a team and you show some promise, and then the next year everybody's waiting for you to jump again, and it doesn't quite happen. Milwaukee's already gone through this, right? They lost in 6 games to Chicago, then the next year they missed the playoffs. They lost in 6 to Toronto last year, and everybody's talking about Giannis and how, you know, in the first week of the season people were ready to give him the MVP, and it doesn't quite happen. I like the deal. I like Eric Bledsoe coming in. It gives him another ball handler, gives him another guy who can score, gives another perimeter defender, and people will say, well, Greg Monroe did a lot for them on the inside. Look, if John Henson can rebound, he's had a couple of monster rebounding games. If John Henson, with his length, can rebound and protect the rim, then that can make up for what they lost with Greg Monroe. And I think Eric Bledsoe is a guy that can really help Giannis out, help take the pressure off him from a ball handling standpoint, and also give them some scoring and defense on the perimeter.
So, Greg Monroe and a couple picks going the other way. Is this a deal that's going to put them over the top in the East?
Well, I think it definitely helps them. To Jonesy's point, when you look at Bledsoe's ability off the dribble to break down the defense, and kind of alluded to this with DeMarcus Cousins and Anthony Davis, when another guy can attract a second defender, another guy can pull another defender into the action, then guess how much more deadly Giannis becomes if he's on the kick out and he opens up the floor for other people. Bledsoe's a strong, aggressive, downhill kind of point guard who can put a lot of pressure on the opponent's paint. Well, guess what? Giannis does the same thing. He puts a lot of pressure on the opponent's paint. Both of them capable three-point shooters. I wouldn't call them three-point shooters, but they're capable. And now you have another guy on the perimeter who can help to create driving lanes. So I think he's a very good pickup. And I like the fact that they didn't have to give up Malcolm Brogdon, a point guard who to me is stable, who can run the team, who doesn't have to get a lot of shots but knows his role, can set the table for everybody. He can defend his position. And now you have a guy in Bledsoe who's in a point guard body, but he really plays like a 2 guard who can play off the ball. So I think Jason Kidd has some options, some versatility there. And then you think about it, to have another scoring option potentially come back at some point in Jabari Parker, now you have a 3-headed monster that can really create some damage. So I think
Chris Middleton.
Chris Middleton, and he can shoot the ball as well. So there's a lot of options for Jason Kidd. And like Jonesy said, he's just going to have to figure out the front court a little bit. And Jason Kidd's done a great job with his roster so far.
All right, looks like the Celtics. I know it's early, but they're kind of running away with it there in the East. Hey, what do you attribute the success without Gordon Hayward?
It's funny, we always say it's early. Well, they're not giving those 9 wins back, and they count as much now as they will in April. So, you know, good for Boston. Look, when Gordon Hayward went down, didn't we all look and say, oh boy, there it goes, LeBron, another path to the finals. And I think it speaks to Brad Stevens. I think it speaks to giving guys roles and having them play those roles. They're getting terrific play from Kyrie Irving, no question about it. But there's other guys, and I always look at the other guys. Who else helps you out? Marcus Smart has accepted his role coming off the bench. Terry Rozier is one of those. He's a typical Louisville kid. Plays with a high motor. He plays hard. He's good defensively. Can make shots. It's the other guys. Kyrie Irving, unquestionably the leader. But you also have to look at what the other guys are giving them. Al Horford's playing really well. Kyrie Irving has developed some chemistry with him as well. So I like what Boston's doing. Like I said, nobody's taking those 9 wins back, and they're going to be tough to run down because the longer the season goes on, the more confidence they get and the more acclimated he becomes to Brad Stevens' system, Kyrie Irving, they're going to be tough to stop.
Sherman, quickly, what's your take on the Celtics?
Well, I add a couple other names to Jonesy's list, and Jason Tatum and also Jaylen Brown. These 2 young guys have come in and shown no real effects of being afraid of the moment. They played aggressively. And for Kyrie, I think this is a situation where you leave a championship team in terms of the Cleveland Cavaliers, a team that's perennially going to be there, and you go to Boston to try and establish yourself, and your main running mate in Gordon Hayward goes down. Now the microscope is even more on you, and you've got to figure out a way how to be a leader. And Kyrie has the experience to know that the way he did it in Cleveland prior to LeBron doesn't work. So he understands the type of leader he has to be. And I think he's done a great job, not just looking to put a ton of points on the board, but trying to be a leader in other areas as well, setting his teammates up, knowing that those other guys are going to have to help him if he wants to achieve the ultimate goal.
Well, you can't talk about the East unless you talk about the Cavs, right?
Right.
They're not doing that well, but providing they turn it around, I think we all think they will. How do they do that?
I think they have to play harder and they have to pick up their defense. I mean, you can't, I mean, even the win last night, you can't depend on scoring 120 plus points every night. You've got to play better defense. And I think right now everybody's looking at what the Cavs need to do offensively, how they need to figure out certain roles. J.R. Smith didn't like the fact that he was coming off the bench. Now he's starting. Dwayne Wade says, okay, I'll go to the bench. To me, it's all about the defense, and it's all about getting stops. I mean, there's no question that the Cavs have all kinds of firepower offensively, but they need to get their defense going. They need to play together defensively. Right now, they look fractured. One guy's stopping the ball. There's no communication. They're giving up open shots. They're giving up open drives. They're not rebounding. It's the other end of the floor that needs to pick up for the Cavaliers.
Kevin Love's struggling. The other guys are a bit older. Sherm, please be the guy that tells me they're not going to turn it around.
No, I will not say that. I think when you look at it, there's a lot of talk and conversation, and that's what we do. But are you going to tell me that Cleveland's not going to be there when the dust settles late in the year? Are there not going to be a team in the playoffs that everybody's going to have to try to beat to get out of the Eastern Conference? As long as LeBron's there, I think you have to agree that they're going to be there. Right now, they do have issues, and to Jonesy's point, it is on the defensive end. But I look at this Cleveland team, and I see nothing to worry about. It's early. They're going to figure it out. LeBron James will figure it out. And at the end of the day, you still have a roster that has gone through a lot throughout the last few seasons, going deep into the playoffs, playing all the way to the end of June. There's going to be some drawbacks from that, and it happens early. And once they get their footing and get their rhythm back, I think they're still going to be a team that in the Eastern Conference is going to be one of the cream of the crop teams.
They've just stopped to tie their shoe in the first mile of the marathon. Don't worry about it. There's a long way to go.
All right, good stuff, guys. Don't forget, for your basketball fix, tune in to NBA TV Canada on Friday. We've got Charlotte taking on Boston at 7:30 p.m. Eastern, followed by Brooklyn and Portland. That tips off at 10 p.m.